You don't need no friends. Get back your faith again. You have the power to believe.
At quarter time it hadn't quite gone to plan, but you let the team know about it, and after that you probably got what you were expecting.
Yeah, look, without a doubt the players got read the right act or got told a few home truths, and they're all about our intensity and our ball movement. We're a side that kicks the football a lot more than handballs, and I think it was 63 kicks and 57 handballs, and to Peel's credit they did pressure quite well early, but for some reason it looked like we were just happy to handball, and that played into their hands. And so 120 possessions in the first quarter for one goal, and I think at the 15 or the 18 minute mark of the second quarter we'd had 60 possessions and kicked 7. So the turnaround was clear in what was required to be done. To the players' credit, they copped it on the chin, and they reacted or acted in the right way. So really pleased that they were able to do that.
I think you finished the game with almost 500 possessions, about 150 marks and 22 goals. Were you happy with what you saw the last 3 quarters?
Look, it's going to be really hard to judge what we got out of today, what we didn't get out of today, until we play Subiaco. And then any subsequent finals after that are going to be against sides, whether it be Peel at full strength in East Perth or Subiaco. You know, it's going to be a lot different to today. So all I know is that Subiaco had a week off this week. I assume they trained yesterday or today. They had to do some form of training. Did they do some competitive work? Was it as hard or better than what we did today? Who knows? I just expect our players to be a lot better than they were early next week, and we'll need to be against Subiaco.
Like you said, it'll be a hard game to judge. Was it a hard game to prepare for, given that in the end when Peel came into the game without Brendan Jones and Josh Bootsma, it was basically their reserves team with Ugal and Jeddah and maybe a couple of other fringe players? Was it a hard game to prepare for, and were you at all disrespected by the way that Peel approached it?
Oh look, it was extremely hard, because I tried to paint all week that we had to be respectful of who we played, but I also know that young men read newspapers and listen to radio stations and watch Channel 9 TV as well, so they knew full well what was going on, and you know, so in that way it was tough. So did we get out of it what we wanted to get out of it? Well, in the end, we don't know.
It was important to try and not get any injuries. How have you pulled up at this point?
Yeah, look, I would have thought that early indications are that there's nothing major. Rarely will you get through a competitive game of football without some form of injury. And we've got a couple of knocks, but compared to where we've been over the last 6 or 8 weeks in particular, or probably most of the year, a knock here or a little bruise there is not going to stop us going into next week, I would think.
Yeah, some tough selections to make, and guys like Chalmers and Willem and Meadows and Shannon all went back to the reserves and had some really good games. I mean, Chalmers had 41 touches, I think Willem had more than 30, so they're making sure that they won't be sort of dismissed for selection next week. Yeah,
look, all of those 4 guys, it was a real kick in the backside, and it was, you know, it's the worst part of coaching. Anyone who's been in the position that a senior coach is, to have to go and tell someone they're missing a game on a weekly basis is hard. When it's a final, and the further in the finals you go, the more difficult it is. Each of those young men are outstanding characters and people, and for them to be able to do what they did today is why we hold them in you know, such high esteem here at this football club, and they're going to be huge later as this season goes along. And the message to them was, you can throw the cots out of the toys out of the cot and spit the dummy, or whatever the right term is, and you can blow a chance, or understand that hopefully the season goes for another 4 games and you just don't know what can happen. So I was really proud of the way they performed today, and they did themselves no harm.
Next Sunday will be your 10th straight game. Subi's had a couple of buys towards the end of the season, and they've had a break this week. It'll be interesting to see the mix between having momentum and form and being a well-rested team that's earned the break and I guess finished on top of the ladder.
Yeah, I think in hindsight we look back and we blame things on buys and playing too long, and they're all things that right now I don't think occupy a lot of time in a player's mind. Certainly it won't be occupying a lot of my time. It's nearly irrelevant whether they played this week. You know, people will say that our preparation, an easy win. Well, it was only two games ago. I think Subiaco won by 100 points against either Perth or East Fremantle or both in a row. So they had a tough game against East Perth. They'll have their own selection issues. You know, hopefully there's enough in our side that they'll have to do a significant number of plans as well to try and stop us. And you know, we're really excited by taking the best side on in the competition, and we expect to be more than competitive.
This is now the exciting time of the year. You're suddenly one win away from a grand final, so it's everything on the line from now on. Yeah,
look, we're stoked to be in a second semi-final. That's probably one of the big issues with a 5. You finish second and you have to win a game for the right to take the top side on. So, potentially the second side has to play 4 finals. It's probably one of the things as a coach I'm not overly impressed about with a final 5. With the 5, you finish 1-2, you get one crack at a side and potentially a grand final. So, in a lot of ways, it's yes, we were at sudden death today, but you're in the same spot as the 4th side. Potentially even play 4 games going to the final. So, but we're just excited. I think we've got a good blend of youth and experience. We've got a number of players who have been through this before. I think the first 3 finals I coached here, we lost, and we've won our last 3 finals. So the positive thought in most of these players' minds is about finals time's a great time, and if you play to a certain standard, you get certain rewards, and that's what we'll be focusing on this week.